Almost zero about meditation.
Hello, host Eric here, host of Talking with Famous People, and I'm here tonight to talk about cognitive function specific meditations. The recap tells us the following: SE, extra root sensing, might be a state of being known as the Zen meditative state, in which you are aware of all the sounds around you, aware of what is in front of your eyes, because it's open eyes meditation, sitting completely still, aware of how your body feels, but but actively attending to none of it, being aware of, but not using any judging functions. That's my interpretation of my understanding of Zen meditation. Is basically says see if you can get in a state of straight SE without any other functions in the mix. Well, so what my challenge then in thinking about this was, well, can we come up with a meditation style that would get you directly into each of the different functions? So the obvious one would be, how would you go? Let's start first with NE. How would you get into a meditative state that would be pure NE? Well, I think it's speaking in
That doesn't
tongues.
sound
I think it's speaking in
meditative.
tongues.
Speaking in tongues.
Speaking in tongues. You know how those religious people work themselves into a frenzy and then they start just babbling, speaking in tongues, saying weird shit in a weird voice, just making the leap, uh, giving up the ghost, as they say.
You
I
think
think,
speaking in tongues is close to any?
yeah, I think that's pure NE, just fucking babbling, right? But cool sounding babbling. Cool sounding babbling. What could be more pure NE than that?
mm,
See, pretentious thick rib, he's good at speaking in tongues. He learned how to do it. But did you make the leap? Did you go into that trance state? Because that's the key thing. Um, thick rib, maybe. Thick rib talks about how he sometimes has been known to consume intoxicants and that it takes down some barriers. I think that that's a similar experience to speaking in tongues. That if you take down the barriers between yourself and your NE, and you're doing it from a trance state rather than something constructed in order to accomplish a goal. If you're doing it out of a state of awareness, then that's straight up NE. Another thing that gets close to straight up NE is freestyling. So, but of course that has words in it, so I think it's not quite as pure. But
no.
it would be either like I can imagine this: if you were an ENFP, freestyling just emotions. Like so, you're singing notes, but each note you're singing it with a different emotional tone based on your mood as you're singing the song. So a really like clumsy rendition of it would be like you'd be crying on one note and then you cry a little less and then you start getting happier and happier. You're singing the notes, but it's just notes, no words, and it's just something like la la la, but with different emotive colorings.
Eric, I should send you some of the crap that I sing sometimes to myself. And it sounds like that. That's pretty much exactly how it sounds.
I can promise you, I'll use it in loops and shit like that.
Not bipolar. It's just like I'll like what I've been doing lately is like riffs on jazz things that I know, like jazzy tunes like oh I love Summertime
It's a
and I
good one.
love what?
That's
Yeah,
a
and
good one.
I love Ella. So I'll like incorporate bits and pieces of like the melody into but like if you don't know Summertime, you won't know that that's what I'm doing. You have to kind of listen hard to hear it. You know what I mean?
Hey, if I can impart one piece of wisdom to anybody who has anything to do with media making and thinking about possibly making songs and stuff, is stop worrying about that shit. Just do it. Don't worry about it. If
Like
it's
Ella.
taken if
Ella could be any. Do you listen to her scat?
yeah, that's any shit right there. Scatting's any
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Um, yeah, send it to me for certain for sure. And the other thing is this, you know, even if you take the exact same melody, if you change the rhythm of it a bit and position it over something else, it's completely unrelated. It's an entirely different thing. I mean, the combinations between rhythm and melody make it such that it sounds entirely different. You can put it over a different set of chords, change the rhythm a little bit, and it'll be an entirely different entity. Changing the rhythm is the thing that makes things different. So, like, let's say you took a little chunk of melody from that song, and you're like, oh, well, you won't even recognize it because I've riffed off it, I've done some different improvisational shit on top of it or whatever. And, like, then you could take some chunk of that combination of things and make your own song out of it, and it would absolutely be a distinct entity. It wouldn't be a derivative piece if it works as such. That's the only thing that matters.
Mhm.
So yeah, I thought so.
Okay. So how would you other types?
That's good. That's good. I like that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
What I'm wondering is,
I appreciate it.
how does that have to do with meditation? It seems like very stimulating rather than
That's not meditation.
meditative. I mean, I don't know how to define meditation, but I mean, that seems like a very, very
Basically, what
thinking, whatever.
Okay, well, I
What
think
Eric
it's...
has,
Go ahead, JC.
what we get down to is, NE cannot meditate. There is
But-
no such thing as any meditation. There's
here-
only scanning and speaking in tongues.
Here's the thing. There's pure access to NE, and then there's gated access to NE. By default, the INTP has gated access to it, so they have trouble free. They have a lot more trouble. They have to practice a lot more improvisational stuff. They'll come to a halting stop periodically in improvisational stuff, regardless of the medium. So even if it's like speaking, which they're naturally good at, what happens is their TI gets the better of them. The TI goes, whoa, 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 you haven't checked out this path at all. And their NE goes, well, fuck it, let's just go and see. But TI wins, And they have to learn to hold it back. But the thing about it is, even for an NE Dom, you're engaged in extroverted intuition in a way that's divorced from thinking, only to the extent that you do it in some way musically. So, and then you can be purely in the moment and purely in trance mode where you are functionally absent. It's just you as a channel through which some sort of musical stuff's coming out of you. And you don't feel like you're directing what happens at all. You feel like you're just sort of rolling out a carpet of stuff that pre-existed. When that state occurs, it's rather meditative, although in a totally different way for sure than the meditations that are entirely calming. The mood of that meditation is fluctuating, but the state is a state of pure flow like that is it's magical. I mean, it's what I seek all the time, right? I seek that state of pure flow where there's not that barrier. When I'm doing it musically, I'm not worried about FE shit, right? Especially if there are no words. If there's words coming into play, then all of a sudden things get a lot more complicated. Then TI and FE get together and scramble to keep up, But
Yeah.
but if without the words, then it's just kind of pure NE. I don't know what else to say about it. If it's pure, if it's right, and the fact is that it's hard to get to that state. Like there's a song called that I made up there called Mother's Day Song for Baby Mama, and it may not be the best thing. I don't know if it is or not. I'm not saying it necessarily correlates with quality, but that song, even though it has words, is an example of me being in like a pure trance mode where I'm really settled into it. It's like sleep kind of. You know how you can be half asleep or you can be really asleep. Well, same thing with in that trance state is when you're really fully in it. When it ends, you kind of are like, oh.
I know what you're talking about, Eric. I totally get you. I feel like I'm there a lot. I feel like I NE meditate a lot, actually.
Well,
I SE meditate and NE meditate. Well, no, I do more NE meditation than SE meditation.
Well, I think what you're doing is the NI-NE combo meditation, because ultimately I think the musical thing, it brings NI in just as much as it does NE, and it's both of them in conjoined. I think that's maybe the one axis that is not so subject to that mutual exclusivity rule. Because
Right.
because of the nature of NI and the fact that it's sort of a direct access to the unconscious, and everybody needs access to that unconscious one way or the other.
Right.
All right, so let's go on to another type of function, another function that we can talk about meditation on that we normally wouldn't think about being meditative. Well, what would an FI meditation be like?
FI.
Yeah.
But I thought we had said that meditation in general is just perceiving and not placing judgments on anything. So I thought we were just going to do the perceiving functions.
Okay, well, I mean, I think the perceiving ones are easier, but I'd be curious to see if we can imagine a meditative state that involves a judging function instead. But let's do the other perceiving ones first. If you were going to do SI, an SI meditation would be, I think it would involve physical act. It would be the setting down the order of things.
I think SI meditation might be more like being one with your body. I think SI might be closer to what more people actually think of when they think of meditation, like kind of feeling. Because I've heard, like, I mean, especially socionics relates SI a lot to inner body sensation. So it's kind of feeling every piece of your body, like
Oh,
in
it's
your head, like
drinking. Oh, is that what it is? It's drinking? That's you're describing drinking.
under striving drinking.
Yeah, feeling your body. That's what drinking does. You feel your body because you feel the warmth in your throat, you feel the warmth go down your chest and into your belly, and
Yeah.
it
It's
feels.
like you start at your head. Like I've heard like this. Like sometimes, like I remember doing like you know how they do like meditation CDs. I remember it's like, okay, imagine your body and like imagine what your head like. Feel your head, feel your ears, feel your nose. Concentrate on your nose. Now concentrate on your lips. What do they feel like? Concentrate on your toes. You know, and like you go through every single body part until
That's
you get to the.
that's great because my grandfather used to do this thing to me when I was a little kid. I liked it. It always put me right to sleep. I used to do it occasionally for Candace, and she fucking loved it. And it makes sense because she has SI in the second slot. If this is SI meditation, my grandfather would do this when I was going to bed. He'd sit on the side of the bed and say, "Okay, I want you to lie perfectly still. Now imagine your body. Imagine it's completely empty. There's nothing inside of it. It's just you're a shell of a body. And
Mhm.
I want you now to picture uh, a orange liquid, or sometimes the color would change. You pick different colors,
Yeah, yeah.
but an orange liquid, and it's pouring in, but it's filling your body up from the very bottom of your toes first. Now you can feel the orange liquid going into your toes. You can feel it starting to get, and every place it touches gets more and more relaxed. You do that shit, right? My grandfather would do that to me when I was a little kid. I would go right to sleep. This feeling of feel the orange liquid fill up your body and feel each part become completely relaxed as the orange liquid touches it, right? And then go up your body and
Yeah.
say, now it's got your legs, now it's got your stomach, you got your chest, got your head, whatever. So
Yep, yep.
that sounds like that
That's
must be
SI.
SI, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. It's interesting because I tend to default to SIs thinking a bit about schedules and bills and stuff like that. But of course, it's your own self, your own body, as well as your self in time. It's yourself, your body self in time, as well as your abstract self in time. So that's a good kind of meditation. Okay, so that's SE, SI, NE. We did NI. I think is maybe the same thing as the NE one, unless it's visual. In which case, I don't know what a visual NI meditation would look like because I really can't conceive very much of visual stuff. Any thoughts from
Do you
anybody
think
else? Go ahead.
that NI meditation would be any different, in, that much different from what NI is in its natural state? Like I feel like NI is closer to meditation than SE, but the NI people say no, SE is closer.
Interesting.
Like
I
for
think.
me, I feel like I
Go ahead.
need to NI in order to meditate, and for them, they feel like they need to SE to meditate. That's what I feel like.
That makes sense. And I guess that's why the orange liquid thing was a kind of meditation that worked for me. Is because uh, it's in my conscious stack. It's a weak function. It probably felt soothing to have somebody attending to my weak function like that. And I've heard Trenton say
Mm,
this as well, that what calms him down is getting his back scratched. He was saying it earlier. Uh, yeah, of course. I mean, it's funny. I never think about SI as being my own body's part as well. I mean, it's something I yearn for, right? I yearn for somebody to come and come home and take care of me or something. It makes me sad
mhm.
sometimes. But that's life, And that's the other thing I was dealing with. Yesterday, I went out with my ex-wife for dinner, and of course, that always ends with us both crying for different reasons, I suppose. But it's a
So
weird divorce, because we still see each other reasonably often and talk to each other occasionally at least and stuff, and we're friendly and everything. So go ahead, JC.
I was thinking about the judging functions and how they might meditate. I think FE, I think it would meditate by like just crying or just laughing or something like that. Just actively expressing some type of emotion. Like just laughing, like one of those gut laughs, you know what I mean? I think that might be FE meditation.
I think that they meditate by watching those kids react to whatever videos, where they're getting all of their info, payoff, everything from the facial expressions of other people.
Mm,
Seems a weird way to live, right?
mm,
But I know what it feels like for sure. I know exactly what it feels like because there's this one video that I have that is about this one video. I know I should never look at my phone. It's ridiculous. I can't possibly look at my phone when I'm making one of these videos. This is the sort of thing that when I'm more mindful, I try to think of, right? And it escapes me. And I lose my train of thought. And I get lost. And all that kind of shit. It's frustrating because. But it's not that frustrating. Because I feel like I'm making progress. As long as I continue to feel like I'm making progress, then I'm cool. I don't get too frustrated. Well, what did you say, though? I don't remember at all.
we were talking about, I don't know, you were talking about the reaction videos for FE meditation.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I have this video where I'm playing with the band, and there's one part of the end of the song that we have a little sort of the drums drop out, everything drops out, but the vocals continue, and Nick's kind of tapping along to make sure that I stay on the beat, and then when it comes back in, it really drops in beautifully, and then in the video, Nick's the one you can see most in that video, and I just watch his facial expression, and he seems so genuinely happy and into it and enjoying himself. And I caught myself at the end of that video watching that part and smiling, and then kind of rewatching that part and smiling and feeling happy, and then rewatching him smiling and feeling happy, and I was like, oh, Eric, that's what are you doing? Oh, you're doing that thing. That's FE in a nutshell. It's that simple. I mean, it's that direct. It's like I'm watching him be happy because of something that's like my song, my idea that's come together, right? Like I made this thing that I put together made him happy. is it's that simple, you know. And like seeing them, and you get. I think FE Doms are really good at reading different kinds of smiling and stuff. But even somebody with the third slot, you can tell when someone's genuinely 100% unaware happy.
I think I'm always unaware happy.
You seem happy. I mean, you know, I've always liked the ESFPs for that reason. Like Evelyn, she's super happy, right?
I mean, I think when I'm around people, I just smile. I don't mean to. It's like my resting face when I'm around people. My resting face when I'm by myself is pretty resting face, but when I'm around other people, it's like there's a permanent smile. I can't. I don't know. And then like I got a lot of people telling me that like I'm very childlike, very like innocent and whatnot. Um,
You don't seem
or like
childlike to me, but people say I'm childlike, so maybe we're both childlike. I don't know.
very true. I don't know. That's what people tell me. Like, oh, I mean, my sister, she constantly tells me that I live in La La Land. And I'm just like, well, that doesn't sound very SE, but she doesn't think I'm observant at all. I don't think I'm that observant either, so I don't know.
Well, maybe are you absolutely sure you're not an N? Because that's typically a quality of N's. Although I will say, I notice I notice Evelyn, who's my other example ESFP, and I watch her when she's not aware other people are watching her. She tends to be like adjusting herself or apparently talking to herself about something or clearly thinking about something like probably I was in my mind I'm thinking he's probably thinking about something social like that friend or this friend or that boy or something like that, you know.
Hmm. I'm not 100% sure that I'm not an ENFP, no, but I really think I'm an ESFP. I really do. Like, I get with that SENI access much more than the NESI access.
Well, the thing I'm curious about now when I'm thinking about Evelyn, I mean, I'm inclined to think she's FE because she's very concerned about her appearance. Is that an
That could be SE too. I mean, I don't think I'm very concerned with my appearance. I think I'm more concerned with being comfortable. But yeah, I think SC can be very concerned with their appearance,
Okay.
like how they present themselves to the outside world.
Okay. Well, then that's consistent with Evelyn. Then.
Or it might not be how I present myself. It's more like wanting to look nice, if that makes sense.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So primping is not inconsistent with the ESFP.
No, definitely not.
Do you feel like you adjust personality? Who, me or JC? It's the people you're around.
Do you feel like you adjust? Do I adjust my personality? It depends. I mean, everyone does to some extent. I definitely try to act professional when I'm in business settings. I think that's the biggest change. I think if I'm in a social setting, I'm pretty much the same in every single social setting you will ever see me in. um, no matter who my friends are or who I'm talking to. If it's social, I'm pretty much the same. I'm different with my family. I'm a little bit different with my family. Um, but so there's like three kind of versions, and even my professional, quote unquote professional like self is not. It's really bad. It's an imitation profession. It's like I'm like it lasts for like a day, and then it's like fun me comes back out. It's like I can't not get close to the people around me. I can't not try to connect with them on some other level. I can't just be I mean, I'm still a coworker, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's.
Distance is a tricky issue. For ENTP as well, we feel either probably we appear cold and too distant, or we try to close
Mhm.
the distance too fast. We're notorious for both
No,
those things.
mm. I think with us, the consistent issue for other types is, are you my friend? Like, how close are we really? Because I feel like we're friends. I feel like you love me. I feel like we're best friends, but, or at least this is the INFP, ESFP consistent struggle. INFP, we're best friends, right? You love me. It's like, yeah, I love you. You're awesome. But, and then they're like always insecure with like where they stand in their relationship with us. Um, I don't know. It's like we're friends with everyone, but you don't know how close you are to us because we kind of treat everyone the same.
Right.
So you don't
Yeah,
know how close you are.
I've
So
been
some
think
people are like, I don't know. What? Go ahead.
I've been thinking a lot about my friend who's fairly damaged, who's wife of my other friend, and what she is, and she does that thing a lot. She wants reassurance that you care for her.
Mhm.
Is that an INFP thing, or is it an NFP thing in general? I've always considered
INFPs don't say it. That's for sure.
they
The
don't say
thing
it.
is, yeah, that's the thing with the INFPs. Like they won't like. It's like okay, like on forums and things, they'll ask questions like, this person did this and this and this. How do they feel? Like, are they close to me? Are they da 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 da? And it's like, well, just my advice is if they're talking about an ESFP, is go and ask them. I mean, because we're pretty straightforward. We'll pretty much tell you, and we pretty much know where you stand in like that relationship. If you're our best friend, you'll know. Like we'll be like, you're my best friend. If you're just an acquaintance who we treat like every other acquaintance, then we'll be like, well, so and so is a little bit closer, but you're cool. We hang out.
So do ENFPs ask that question then? Do ENFPs say you feel affection for me, right? You love me,
I don't
right?
know. I don't know.
If
I
they're
don't. I've
damaged,
I've never.
if an individual is a particularly damaged type, like had a difficult childhood, um, didn't get enough love, what type is going to manifest that quality?
I think FI might be. I think FI is constantly trying to judge relationship type things like that. Like, how close is this person to me? How close is that person to me? I think that's something that we actively attend to in a way, or not act. I mean, I think FI DOMs might actively attend to it. I think the EFPs are more just kind of aware of it.
See, I think that's why ENTPs are so interested in loyalty. Probably is that we don't feel as though we can manage how close we are to somebody directly, so we want to sort of set up parameters by which we can anticipate those things.
Mm. Like you're this part of my life. You're this person in this part of my life, and you're this person in this part of my life. Like that.
Well, it's a matter of how much can I, and the most practical and reductive way to put it is how much can I impose upon you?
Oh, okay.
It,
Yeah, FI is more like I'm gonna push as far as I can possibly push. And well, my bad. EFPs are like I'm gonna push as far as I can possibly push, and somehow we can kind of figure out when it's too much. I don't know how we do that. We just kind of know when to lay off. Um,
well, when I say what I said, I mean specifically, I guess we know we're gonna fuck up in some way. That other people are gonna have problems with us, so we want to know if you're gonna abandon us and win, like if we know that we're not supposed to be able to count on you. That's fine. Then we're not gonna dislike. We don't care. We're not gonna get our feelings hurt that we can't count on you, if that's the nature of our relationship. But we're always trying to figure out like who's inner circle that I can count on in a pinch, I can impose upon, and who will even ideally even be proactive and say you look like you need help, because when I do, and it's always fucking simple shit like I need food, I need somebody to come and help me with my bills, stuff like that. But
Right. You're looking
what,
for relationships of benefit. Hey.
well, it's not even that. It's like I don't know how else to, I guess, ascertain closeness. I tend to err on the side of anytime anybody needs something, I'm there to help out with it if they ask me because I figure I feel reciprocal burdens or something. I don't know.
Right,
It's
right,
like
right. I mean, that's a real thing. That's a thing. That's I did something for you. You do something. That's a thing. That's a cycle. That's a psychological thing. So I think you're validated in doing that.
right, but I've learned that the only people that you can really necessarily count on in life are blood relations. That
Yeah.
everybody else at the end
That,
of the day, if it comes down to big enough conflict, big enough rift, they're not going to let you in, and you're not going to let them in, probably. So,
I don't know. I'm not very close to some of my blood relations right now. I am. I will always, I think, be close to my sister. She's my. She's like my surrogate mom.
well, if you have that one or two, because I have very few as well. I've got my parents, I've got my daughter, and that's it. And
Right.
but I've come to understand that I can really count on Candace as well, even though she's not a blood relation. Uh, she's
I feel
reliable.
like I feel like I'm too young to really know like how some things are gonna play out, and as far as my relationships with some people.
How old are
Um,
you?
I'm 24.
That's young. That's awfully young. Yeah, you're going to change a lot, unavoidably.
Yeah.
I want to answer Unify's question. Do I feel like I care more about the quantity of relationships or the quality? It's an interesting question. It's a question Corey asked me too. But he phrased it differently. He phrased it a little bit more barb to it. He's like, um, doesn't it matter to you how deep the relationships you are engaging in are? And the answer to that question is I don't think I understand relationships on that level. In the sense that I do know what I was just saying about family. I understand relationships on that level. Like, who can you really count on? Who's going to be there to still love you when you've got nothing to offer at all? Um, in those instances, I want to know who those people are. But
Yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
that's a level of deep. That's what I was just gonna say. Yeah, that's deep in its way.
But the other thing is, beyond that, my actual experience of a relationship is this. It's what we're doing right now. In fact, I mean, I'm experiencing, as far as I understand, a really good relationship right now because I think we're having a good conversation. I feel as though I'm managing the FE stuff well. I'm attentive to it. I'm trying to be attentive to it. I'm proud of myself for following through on that and probably improving over the course of the evening. To the extent that it needs to have some sort of other quality to it, I don't quite know what it is. I mean, I understand that I don't know who JC is. I don't know anything about her. I don't. She's revealed a few things that she's close to her sister, that she's apparently maybe having some sort of conflicts with other family members. But I mean, I don't know anything. I've not met these people. I don't really know her, right? But at the same time, I feel as though if I did really know her, the only way in which this conversation would be somehow different would be in that it would have more associative links with other shared experiences, but um, but I don't know how much that would make it a particularly richer or more desirable experience. I'm not sure. It's a good question. It's an interesting question.
Personally, I think I have things that I keep close to home, and when it's weird because you never know. Like it, to other people, when they meet at ESFP, it feels like we reveal our entire life. But to the ESFP, there are these things that are mine, and when I feel a certain, I don't know, a trust, a certain connection, I guess, when we get once we get to a certain level of, I don't know, shared experiences, shared emotions, shared. I mean, it doesn't all have to. I mean,
Of course, it's going to be that way for you because you got SI5. You're drawn to it. You trust it. You trust past experiences. You trust shared experiences. You know, I had this conversation with my ex-wife last night where we talked about the fact that one of her biggest challenges. We talked about her experience dating, and one of her biggest challenges is finding people who are willing to put in sufficient time to let her feel as though she has a good idea about what she wants to do with this guy. And she listed her procedure, and she says, well, you know, I need to really know. I need to see them in certain different contexts. I need to see them with their family. I need to see them with their friends. I need to see them with my family. I need to see them with my friends. I need to, see them alone. And this means a lot of specific settings in which, for me to really feel comfortable, like I know the person. That's
right.
A really SI heavy approach because you're looking to build a set of data to refer to.
That is SI heavy. I don't know. I mean, I don't disagree with that, but I don't think I look at it like that. I more look at it as like I feel like I could get to know someone just via conversation. Like it doesn't always have to be shared experiences, but I think the shared experiences help. I don't think I have to see them in a million contexts. I think I could kind of see them in one consistent. You know what I mean? I could make a friend at school, and I think I can get just as close to a school friend as I can get to someone who I've seen every aspect of their life.
Well, I mean, keep in mind that she was talking about specifically dating, searching for a significant other that she.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
So
different
in
then.
that context, she's looking for a lot of specific things. Um,
Right.
it was the first conversation that we'd had uh, openly about that stuff. I probably heretofore had said, I don't think I really want to hear about it. But you know what happened is I just turned on host Eric and was quite successful for most of the dinner. Regarding that, that didn't bother me particularly at all. What it just made me think. To the extent that it bothered me, it made me sad to see her sad, of course, because I've got Effie, and made me worry about her a little bit, I guess. Of course, she's not in any way, shape, or form operating under the possibility that she's going to just be alone. So she's on Tinder and on eHarmony and stuff like that, and going out with different people and seeing how it works out and finding that uh, it's an incredibly taxing experience. And I know that's what I
Mhm.
found as well in the brief time that I gave. For that very reason, I gave it up pretty much right away. I was like, okay, I went on a couple Tinder dates, and I was like, I don't like either of those people. That costs a lot of money. It seems really time consuming, and I'm done with that. I've got better things to do.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a little bit different. I agree with you about friendships, and I think she would as well. But see, she'd be likely to compartmentalize all her friends. In fact, I know she does. She has them in certain roles and boxes and stuff, and as long as they fit in that general box and behave within that the confines of that general box, then she's a great friend and everything, and she knows what to expect, and they know what to expect, and Problem only
Right.
you run into a problem if your box is named immediate family member. Then you're subject to a lot of expectations. So
That's fun. See, my best friend is an ESFJ, and I feel a little bit like sometimes she'll try to put me in a box, and I always feel like she'll be like, why didn't you just do this, or why don't you just do that? And then but like she really kind of expects me to do these things that she's suggesting, and it's like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
right.
I'm just not. That's not how I think about that thing. It's
She's the
really
Girl
funny.
Scout leader though. Did you forget? She's the Girl Scout leader. You're the Girl Scout. That's how it works. Though.
I mean, I love her. We get along great, but I definitely like now that I mean, because we were friends before I knew about cognitive functions, but now that I know the cognitive functions, I just think it's funny. I think um, the P versus J. It's. I mean, at first I thought she was an ISFJ. I actually still think she could be an ISFJ, but she says that she's an ESFJ. But
ISFJs are they display pretty extroverted for eyes.
mhm.
They're one of the more
I think she's.
extroverted displaying
I
eyes.
still think that she's an ISFJ, but I just think she's in college and is, extroverted because of, her immediate surroundings and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd say that the best way to tell is to see what kind of stuff she's studying and how what her relationship with that stuff is.
Mm.
It's because ISFJs have TI in an aspirational position like INFJs, so they tend to be the most intellectuals of the feeler types, along with INFJs.
Hmm.
Is she intellectual? Does she like this kind of stuff, fancy talk?
Um, she doesn't dislike it, I don't think.
What kind of
She's
media
not
does
like
she
a kid.
watch in her spare time? What kind of like things does she watch or consume in her spare time?
Dude, I don't even know because when we get together, we're always doing stuff.
Right. Does she
That's
talk
so
about
crazy.
television shows or anything like that, or talk about internet
No,
things, or
we don't talk about television. That's so funny. I don't talk about TV with her.
what about
We always talk about like relationships,
relationships?
religion. We talk about, I mean, just stuff. We talk about our lives. We talk. I think the biggest reason that we became friends is because we have similar backstories. And when we were like, well, I mean, not similar in an extent. Like,
You were both Canadian lumberjacks.
we both had. Well, my mom passed away when I was 16, and my dad was pretty much. He was into crack cocaine. So I ended up living with my sister, and then once I graduated from high school, my sister moved, and I was kind of by myself in college, and there was all these things that I had to go through. And then, I mean, there was a whole bunch of things that came with that, with my mom passing away, with my dad, with other family members, with my sister, and with being by myself at 19, 18, 19. And she had a similar situation in that she was also by herself at 18, 19. Neither of us had parents that we can rely on. And I think the fact that neither of us had parents that we could rely on, that's what made us really kind of click. So that's why we had so much familial talk, like talk about relationships. It wasn't just like, oh, my boyfriend, that's my girlfriend, that. It was my dad did this horrific thing today, and helped me process my emotions. And there was a lot of that talk, and we really bonded over a lot of emotional stuff. And we still do bond over a lot of emotional stuff.
Well, it's good to be reminded that different people have very different life experiences, and that they respond to it differently. You know, I've attributed a lot of my friend's difficulties to her own challenging history, but different people react to it very differently. You know, I mean, you display very well put together. You know, JC, like you display undamaged.
Thanks. Yeah, I actually like my senior year of high school um was kind of like everyone was it was funny because everyone was like, "Oh my goodness, you're so resilient. You're this and you're that." Like I graduated pretty high in my class. I was what like number 5 or something. And like I got like all these awards and things, and some of them were just for singing. But then I got this specific one that was for my county. That was like because I overcame a hardship. And in my mind, I was just like, but really? Did I? Because, I mean, don't get me wrong. I acknowledge that I went through a hardship. However, I felt like I was just being me. I didn't feel like I had to actively do anything to overcome this hardship. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't, I wasn't distraught in a way that, like, it didn't make, like, why would my grades didn't slip. I don't know. I can't really, I didn't feel like I did anything. Does
You
that make sense?
proceeded. You proceeded. That's what you did. I mean, that's your dominant
Right.
function. It was your
I
nature
mean,
to
I was
just
distraught
keep
that my
on the
mom
path.
passed. Right. It was my mom. She was the biggest part of my life. So obviously that, affected me, but I didn't do anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, I grieve for my mother. I still grieve for my mother when I think about it, but like, it's not, I didn't do anything extra to, like, overcome. I don't
Well,
know.
I'm sorry all that happened to you, JC. That sounds like it was, regardless of whether or not you personally found it challenging, because I do understand that it's your nature to proceed along the path, that it was easier for you to persist in your existing ways than it was to change dramatically from the existing ways in response to this horrible stuff that was happening to you.
Yeah.
But but ultimately, regardless of your nature and how much credit you feel you deserve for going through something like that, the reality is it's going to afford you a certain amount of depth at a young age that a lot of people are not able to attain. And like I have yet to experience what I would consider a truly significantly difficult death.
Mhm.
Meaning an immediate family member. If my parents are alive, all my grandparents are dead, but
Mhm.
nobody truly close to me has passed um, since I was in 5th grade. When my grandfather died, that was premature, and it was beyond my ability to understand, frankly, the
Mm.
the murder, and I didn't really feel a whole hell of a lot. I know I've lived with it in my mind enough. I've experienced it in my mind. I've experienced it in my dreams. The death of one or either of my parents, and it's inconsolable grief. So someday I'll have to experience that as well. Uh, at 24, you have a certain depth that I still haven't attained because of that, I suspect.
Yeah. It changed my life dramatically. I mean, obviously, but like even now, like people kind of expect me to be able to turn to my parents. It's like, well, where are your parents? Where are your parents? It's like, well, my mom isn't here, and my dad is. I don't even want to talk about my dad. You know what I mean? He's somewhere.
Right. Drug addiction. Drug addiction is closely associated with many significant problems that people have. You know, I've seen it take a lot of people.
Mm.
Some of it takes
Yeah,
further than others.
I think my cognitive functions were uniquely set up to help me get through that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I'm happy to hear that you feel as though, or present yourself at least, as being more or less on the other side of those difficulties. I hope to the extent that those challenges were difficult, that things are arranged such that they're not so difficult anymore. You know, I don't know what else to say beyond that.
Difficulties are just different.
Okay.
They've just shifted forms.
The difficulties are how to tell host Eric you don't like his drumming.
Host Eric, I was not a huge fan of your drumming or your piano, but you're still cool.
The piano was particularly awful. But the thing is, there's certain parts of it that sound good, right? There's certain moments of it when it all comes together. So it's like, I don't think conceptually it's a bad idea. It's just kind of sloppily executed. But hey, this one I did tonight, it sounds a lot more well put together. It feels like it's a much better mix, and that the drumming is pretty solid. It's not perfect, but it's pretty solid. So check it out. Listen to it. See if you want to sing it. And if you don't like the words, I'm not married to them at all. I don't particularly love the words. They're words I wrote a long time ago. Yeah.
The Beekeeper. Okay, I saved it to my Dropbox, so I'll listen to it.
All right, cool. So, okay, I think that's going to bring this episode and this evening of Talking with Famous People to a close. I am starving and dying of thirst, ready to go get some fast food. And what I'm going to remember to do is eat plenty of cheese. Now, for my friend JC here, I'm going to recommend that she not forget to eat plenty of vegan cheese substitute.
Diet cheese. It's very good.
All right. Fantastic. I'll have to check it out someday. That's better FE instead of making fun of it, see? All right. Talk to you later, everybody. Thanks for watching.